lame.
Well, it is what it is. Guys, we are live here on Spotlight On. We're back. I know I took a week off. I wasn't here last week. But we're back and we're spotlighting Myverick Garcia. Maverick, how are you?
I'm good.
I don't even know if we're actually on. I think that Jezer's making us wait. It says no way. We are on. It says we're on. Oh, I guess we are on. So Maverick, first and foremost, I got a question. How long have you been with Hashtag Show?
We're going up on 2 years now, maybe.
2
yes?
years? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Okay, take me back real
All right.
quick to the day that you first started with us. And we're going to jump right into this.
Okay. So Jessica's the one that I knew she did the show, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like kind of my thing. I'm a closet nerd. I was like, even if I could just hold a boom mic, can I be a part of it? And I come to just watch her and meet you. And in the middle of your taping, you're like, and welcoming our new guest, like host, and you brought me on, and like I felt like I didn't know if it was live or what was happening. I definitely didn't think I could turn it down. Later, Jessica was like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and that's how I got on the show.
But you wanted to do it, though. At least I heard you did.
I did, but I didn't think like you'd put me, like you hadn't met me yet, and you just like put me out there.
I make fast decisions, Maverick.
You do.
But that's how that happened. But before you even joined us, I think one of the more interesting things, which I actually didn't know about until like I actually knew you, was that you're actually Miss Mississippi. And what I mean by that is that legitimately like Miss Mississippi, like they compete in Miss America. Is that incorrect or correct?
It's actually very incorrect. I was Miss Mississippi USA, and they compete for Miss USA. It's a big deal. You can't.
The fuck?
You
It's the same
mess
thing.
It up. No, it's not. Pageant girls would have your head. But yes, I did. In 2012, I competed for Miss Mississippi USA. It was funny, the first year I did it, I didn't tell anybody, and then I did really well, and then everybody found out, and so when I competed again, I ended up winning. Great shot of me and my loud open mouth wide laughing. It's embarrassing, actually. But I talk it down a lot just because like I feel like every girl has done it. But if I had not done that, I wouldn't be here today. What
do you mean by that?
Well, I was given a scholarship to the New York Film Academy in LA. And
were you really?
Yeah, that's how I got here. I was wrapping up my degree.
What?
Yeah, I was finishing up my degree in Mississippi, and I was like, man, I don't really love this. I don't really know what I want to do. And I was like, I do have that scholarship though. So I applied in December, moved out in January, and started in February.
Time out. So what did you go to college for?
I studied biological science.
And where did you go?
University of Southern Mississippi.
And then you were going to come out here to study film.
Yes, it was obviously like something I had thought about, but I mean, if anybody's from small towns or even like a small state of Mississippi, there's a lot of small town thinking that can happen. And so it's one of those things where I think it's a very scary, bold move to make. But for me, it was like, it's my ticket out of Mississippi. I'm taking it out.
And one thing you're going to learn about Myverick Garcia tonight is that bold moves are just a part of her lifestyle, even though she's not always as confident in those bold moves. But we're going to start talking about now the pageant world a little bit. Talk to me about the preparation, about the pageant world, and chat me up about, because there's a lot of rumors about the pageant world, mainly the cattiness and all this and that. Chat me up about the real inner goings of the pageant world, because you got there at a high level.
Yeah.
So talk to me about it.
So I always said I was a terrible pageant girl. I was the girl that showed up whenever I found out we were going to be skating, and it was like for a film, like to bring people around. I wore sweats and a t-shirt, and every other girl had like, you know, the hoop earrings and like the cute sweaters, and I kind of missed the memo. But yes, once we get to the USA in Vegas, that level, I get that question all the time. Is it cattiness? Is it fake? Like, what are all those things? And to be honest, one of the things I really did take away from the pageant was finding out that putting aside your states and the competition was actually, it's a group of girls that have a very similar interest and even very similar battles, like things that they struggled with like being bullied or self-image. Like there was a lot of stuff that I think that was a great connection between myself and all the other girls. That
These
you
are going to
kind
be
of
playing throughout the whole night, by the way, your little promos and
Why
things from your life.
how did you guys find this stuff?
Hey, this is the spotlight on you, Maverick.
I could have picked better spotlight. Anyway, I will say there really wasn't much cattiness. Now, there were girls that knew how to play the game right, though, and they were...
What do you mean? Elaborate on that a little bit. The girls that knew how to play the pageant game right?
Yeah. They're like the girls that you would kind of think of maybe as like a diva.
Are we talking girls that kind of had the, what's that show called, like, with the moms? The
Toddlers and tiaras?
Yeah. Are we talking like those kind of girls that have kind of grown up in this?
Yes and no, but these are really like real girls. So in that instance, there isn't a ton of that. What I mean though is like, if a girl didn't like her photo, like she knew how to take her time and go back and redo it. Whereas like I was like not even gonna press the envelope. I was thinking like, that's all right. My eyes are crossed in that photo, but okay, that sucks for me. And like, but these girls just, they knew how to work it. Like everything, like they just had it down to science. And then like, and you couldn't blame them. These girls were the ones that would place in the top 16, 10, 5. They knew what they were doing.
Now, one thing that I find super interesting about you is that you're a tomboy. and you were a tomboy as a kid, and I know you well enough to say that you're somewhat of a tomboy as an adult.
Yeah.
I know the stuff that you're kind of into. You're a country girl. You are.
Okay.
But you're very tomboyish. Now, where did that start?
So I think the tomboy in me started because I had an older brother, and we really weren't that far off in age. Also, I was homeschooled, so he was kind of like, his friends were my friends, and I never wanted being a girl to hold me back. So I was always going to step up, whatever I could do. So I was like, just sports or whatever, like everyone will say that I'm athletic.
And that's your brother.
Yeah. That was actually at the pageant when I was crowning the next girl. So I remember everyone telling me that everyone thinks that I'm athletic. I don't think I'm athletic. I think I'm agile, and that comes from maybe like my dad and like having like a gym that I grew up in. And I think what I have a lot of is I have a lot of try hard. So like I may not get the ball every time, but I will try hard to get it.
You're somebody I definitely want on my team. Here's an interesting thing though, because Maverick, and we're going to talk in depth about the Power Ranger audition process, but legitimately, and she knows this because this is the same day, and you know.
I can't believe you have that.
We do. But
I said that to you.
Oh yeah, all right. Well, you know this very specifically is that when you went to audition, I was with Brennan Mejia at the time. And him and I were hanging out, and it was like a nerve-wracking day for me, just as it was for him.
He was experiencing like soccer mom.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
It
was crazy.
To the top.
It's like, Maverick, tell me exactly what was going on.
Yeah, then he ended up calling me and like stressing me out. He's like, Maverick, I don't mean to say anything, but I got a lot on this. I need you to get this. He's like, I'm stressed. Like the first round, yeah, we got it. Now I'm like, I'm getting really stressed.
But you got pretty far. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I want to talk about this because you say your athleticism, you're not athletic. You are athletic. You can that backflip was pretty legit, and I know how hard you kind of train for certain things. And just talking about athleticism, because one of the things that you do, which I find really impressive, is that crazy shit you do on the beach.
Acro yoga.
There you go. Acro yoga.
Again, I don't know that that's like being athletic. I think if you are athletic, it helps because it's a lot of body awareness, and athletes do have that. And again, like every time I tell someone you can do it, you need body awareness and you need the commitment factor.
You got a super chat, by the way, for the perfect backflip. That video they already did.
I thought they wanted me to do one. I was like, guys, it's late.
No.
Yes. So anybody can do it. You just really, the biggest key is commitment. Like you have to have a lot of follow through.
Which you did for the Power Ranger audition, and which you did for obviously Miss Mississippi. Now back to this pageant thing, real quick. Did you ever expect you were actually going to win at that level?
No, that's why the first time I did it, I didn't really tell anybody. And then when I did so well, and everyone found out, they were kind of mad at me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why didn't you tell us? We'll support you. And then the next round, I didn't know. And actually, it's funny. My roommate, who is one of my good friends and lives out here in LA now, we made the top 5, but at that point, like I was just aware that she had made the top 5. I hadn't really thought about us like doing the thing together again. And then it was like when I got to the end of the stage and I'm looking at the judges, and each one of them were like kind of giving me this like kind of look, and I was like, am I gonna win? And then it was great that my roommate, who you guys saw in the video, she was first runner up. So like when we saw each other, because she had been on the other end, and they called the girls in the middle, and then we came up, we like saw each other for the first time. And actually the video before that I won was probably even a bigger like dramatic hug. We almost fell over because it was kind of cool. Like my roommate throughout the process, like we were the last two.
That's a great picture, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know, and I'm sure, I don't know if we've even talked about this as much, but one of your former roommates, maybe, I don't know, but Reagan, I actually knew her before you.
Yeah, she's the one. She's in that video.
Yeah,
she was my first runner-up.
I actually knew your roommate before I knew you, and so did Migdalia, technically, because we all worked on American Ninja Warrior together. Which is super weird.
You
now,
know
right?
what's funny? Back? So I love American Ninja Warrior. I have been a huge fan of it. Like would DVR it for the longest time whenever that was like a cool thing, and would come back and watch it. And I always wanted to be on the show. I was like, I can do that. Reagan got put on as a PA for that show, and they were telling us how they needed people to at my height to run through it. And the day
testers.
She told me I could do it. I had to be there at this time, and then I booked a shoot that day, and it was all the way like on the other side of LA, and I was not going to make it at that time at traffic, and my dreams were crushed. I was like, I could have touched an American Ninja Warrior set.
It was a lot of fun. And she's great, by the way. So one thing I do have to ask you, since you did run through the pageant circuit and you got there at a high level, what advice do you have to younger girls that maybe have self-confident issues or body positive issues, or just any words to young girls that might be thinking, because obviously Miss USA, Miss America, whatever it may be, it's not just based on your looks. It's also based on your personality, what you do in your community. So what advice do you have to young girls out there that you can pass along?
I think the thing I do actually applaud and talk about a lot with the pageant is that for some, like when you have a crown, all of a sudden now you have a platform, like people are going to listen to you. So I took that as like a positive thing. Like I'm going to actually reach out and like talk to girls, and I found like the people that I spoke to the most, that I probably had the most influence on, was younger girls, and it was always around the topic of self-worth. And I think that like a lot of girls have struggle with that, not really knowing your self-worth, and the problem is that the reason why it's so easily shaken and so easily taken away is because they put their self-worth in boys and in media, what everyone else tells them, and so that's why it's so wavering. And I think that like girls really need to do a lot of like self-reflection and self-talk. I think attitude is a big thing, like telling yourself like what you're grateful for, and really like building yourself up, because like your self-worth is the strongest when it's you that believes in it. Have you always
valued yourself so highly, or is that something you kind of found throughout time?
Actually, no. I've had a really us childhood.
You were not bullied. You were bullied. I think I remember us talking about this.
Just because our family, and if you ever watch like one of our tapes from the Miss USA pageant.
Well, here we go.
No, we didn't have a lot of money, like really at all. And one of the things too, my brother, he had darker skin than me, so like kids would, like in the 3rd grade, would pull out a knife and bully him.
No.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about this. Obviously, it's kind of self-explanatory though. You grew up in Mississippi.
Yes.
So let's put that out there.
Right. So it was still a thing, and again, when you don't have a lot of money, you're kind of wearing the same clothes, and I also, being a tomboy, hated brushing my hair and like looking anything like a girl, so that didn't help. I looked like Orphan Annie running around, but that was a struggle. And so as well as like our family has had like anything, like we have our family drama, and so I remember for the longest time feeling like I could either be like there's a lot of times people say, well, this is my life, like you see what I had to deal with. And I just was one of those people that said that's not an excuse. I wanted to be one of those people that say, you see what I had to deal with, I'm not going to be that. And that's kind of like how it's defined me. For me, my church and like my faith has always been rooted in something that's helped me stay grounded and has always been like my guiding light, and that's helped me not like fall away. But I would say, like, as far as like image goes, I always kind of saw it as like, you know what, like that's my testimony now. Like,
Sure.
This is how I can talk to anybody. Really, I can speak to so many different people and be relatable to them and genuine, because I'm speaking from a place of hardship, where like sometimes I didn't know if we were going to have food on the table, and or if this bill was going to get paid for. Cops were called at our house a lot. Like,
Really?
yeah, we're a pretty strong, stubborn family. And we're also a blended family. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and none of them are by the same parents. And so it's been a tough road, but I'm so grateful for it, because I wouldn't be who I am today. And also I wouldn't be able to look back and see the people that I've been in contact with, that I feel like, had I not gone through the same thing or something similar to them. It's kind of like, you know, a lot of people can give you advice, but a lot of times people are going to use it against you and say, who are you to give me advice? You don't know what I've been through. But I probably have.
Faith has been a big part of your life, and it's carried you on to what you're doing now and where you are now. Chat me up about when you found faith, because I know that obviously in the South especially,
Yeah.
that kind of religion is
We are the
it's a way
Bible
of life.
Belt.
It's a Bible belt, right?
Yeah.
But talk to me about your own personal beliefs, because mainly it's not forced upon you by any means,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something you actually, and you and I have talked on a very personal level, just kind of about that stuff. Talk to me about how much of an influence that is on your life, and about the time you knew that that's the direction that you kind of wanted your life to go.
Yeah, so I would say, like, obviously growing up in the Bible Belt, church was always around. I remember going to church camp once, though, and that's probably where, like, my foundation was started. So I always had the foundation there. Now, the difference is, and I think what a lot of people are getting it wrong, not necessarily getting it wrong, and I think this is where like I can relate to other people too, is that like I respect all religions, but for me it's not a religion, it's a relationship. And I think that if more people could treat it like that, it would be a universal understanding. And if everybody obviously, like, if they did actually like do their research, and that's something too, I think I've always been very open and open-minded, and I'm not going to chastise you, so you should know what I believe in as well.
Sure.
But I think, like, obviously as a kid, when you are going through a lot, and I've been through a lot of just in and out of hospitals with my mom, and just the bad thing after the other, if things happen, it's kind of like, if you don't have something that is as good and looking out for you, then I could just see how lonely and how like easily shaken you can be. So
Sure.
I always say, like, obviously my faith is mine, but I feel like people need to have faith in something. Or it's kind of like that saying, if you stand for nothing, then you stand for nothing. If you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. And so I think faith for me, especially in the Christianity sense, has always just been a rock and a pillar for me, because that was, for me, it was the only thing stable in my life. And it was always the one thing that I could always look to, like, this is good, this is true, this is always has my best and best interest in mind.
Now, young little Maverick Garcia may have been struggling with a lot of things, but being a geek wasn't one of them. And young little Maverick Garcia ended up kind of gravitating towards Sailor Moon and Power Rangers,
Yeah.
among other things. Talk to me about your love of Sailor Moon, though.
So before I was homeschooled, we went to school, obviously, and my brother and I, we would like get off the bus and make a beeline down our half-mile driveway to get to the TV by 4:30 to turn on Toonami. And that's where they had Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, like all of the things that I loved and like wanted to be, and everything was so awesome. And then obviously when I started to become when I became homeschooled, the one thing I do applaud about homeschoolers is we have a great imagination, because you're home alone all the time. I think it really fuels that. And so we role played Power Rangers all the time as kids. And so that's like what we grew up on. We loved it. The movie came out. We were like, that was our thing at our family. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, but we sure enough saw movies. And so that was like our treat as kids.
Who's your sailor?
I was obviously always a Sailor Moon, like she was my thing, my Sailor Moon fan. Look at me wearing my pigtails. Mainly because she was the leader, but you know who I really liked, and she would always make the cameo appearance was, I'm gonna get it wrong.
I don't know Sailor Moon, so.
She wore green, but like a darker green. Anybody in the panel?
Mars?
No, Mars was red.
I don't know this.
She would just make like guest appearances, but she had a staff.
Oh, Pluto.
Was it Pluto? Okay, because I was thinking of Mercury, but she's the blue. Yeah, so Sailor Pluto. I should have just went with my gut. She was cool. Like she'd always like kind of make this guest appearance and like save the day. Kind of like in the Power Rangers, it was always like the White Ranger was always coming in, and he was like the cool one.
The Green Ranger as well, but
Well, that was later on. Though.
That was before. White Ranger was after.
No, not during like when the movie like Ivan Ooze.
Oh, the movie
yeah.
Ivan Ooze. That's your Ivan Ooze thing. Also, fun fact is that hashtag show was the first time we ever got you to cosplay.
Yeah, that was fun at the anime. That was
Expo.
my first any type convention, period, anyway. And so it was the Anime Expo, and that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and we convinced you and Kelly at the time to do punk rock.
We were the punk rock sailors.
Sailor girls.
Mm-hmm. So and I was Mercury. Found me a blue wig. I went for it. It was great.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good look. But when did you start discovering that like that was kind of like the things that you really found fun? Is it because you had a lot of brothers?
Oh, you mean
just the geek stuff? Yeah, anime.
Okay. No, my stepdad and all of his brothers actually. With my brother, it was a little bit of cartoons and video games, but like the Marvel, all of the geek stuff that you're talking about, the biggest influence was my stepdad, and like they were huge on it. They knew all the comic books, and so did actually my uncles. They were big into it, and they're from Puerto Rico, and like I always kind of looked up to them because they also were like these master martial artists and had like black belts to the nth degree, and they always knew like what the story was behind it. And so I don't know, it just kind of fueled me to like want to know about it in Star Wars and all that. Like we're that family that like we go to a movie on Christmas because that's what we do.
That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people do. Now, Power Rangers. Let's flash forward for a second. Not the auditions, but for your love of Power Rangers. Now, in your heart of hearts, you always wanted to be a Pink Ranger.
Yes. You know what's funny is when I started to, and I'm sure we'll dive into this, but when I started to audition for the Power Rangers and then found out that there was going to be only the Yellow Ranger for the season, I just imagined that. So growing up, like, that's all I ever wanted to be was the Pink Ranger. But because my brother was the Red Ranger who liked the Pink Ranger, I couldn't be the Pink Ranger. So I had to be either the Yellow Ranger or the villain. And that was so annoying to me because I was like, that's so unfair. You be a different Power Ranger. But obviously he was older than me. So now we're here, fast forward, and we're auditioning. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, my brother gets to like live out his dream. I have to be the Yellow Ranger. Didn't get it, but then I got a phone call. They enjoyed and they liked me enough to bring me back on to see if I wanted to audition for the role of the villain. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, my brother must be...
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I'm just saying that like my brother like got to live out his dream of me like playing all the roles that he forced me to play. And that I still didn't get to be the Pink Ranger. I was like, he must be laughing at me from
We're going to
heaven.
talk about that and talk about your ambitions on possibly next season as well, whatever that may be. But real quick, before we continue, we have a thing called the chat, which you already know what it does. If you guys have questions for Maverick, hit us up in the chat. Let us know what your questions are. And if you want to make sure they get answered, hit up that super chat feature. You already know what that does. Help support the show. And we also got the T Public store. What the T Public store is, it has the coolest geek t-shirts in all the nation. So get your geek t-shirt and wear it proudly at the next convention you go to. We obviously have Power Ranger shirts.
Heck
So
yeah.
get yours while you can. The description is in the links below. My favorite is the Power Ranger in space, and and Star Wars crossover. And also, we got the THS Hashtaggers group. That's a community for all of you like-minded fans to get together and talk about your love of whatever geekdom it may be. There's no judgment, only love. Check us out at THS Hashtaggers. That's exclusively on Facebook, and that is a Facebook group that you all can join without doing anything, and it's obviously free. But yeah, the super chat feature and the chat feature are kind of what I want to talk about right now.
Okay.
Because if you have a question for Maverick, let us know. But back to where we were. We were just talking back to the goods. We were just talking about your kind of like, I don't want to say struggle. Struggle is the wrong word, but kind of like you getting into all of the geekdom stuff.
Right.
That started at a young age. Did you ever think that was going to reemerge later on in your life?
No, yes and no. I kind of had always hoped it would, just because, like, especially when I was coming out to Hollywood, right? And like I'm being like getting to be an actor, try out for things, and maybe get a chance to be an actor in something. I was like imagining in my head, like, how cool would it be if like I got to be cast in one of those things, or like even like Disney. Like everyone knows I'm a huge Disney fan.
You.
And like me? So now they're like coming up with all of these, you know, they're remaking the movies, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like I haven't made it yet though. I really like need to be like some type of celebrity.
I think that's your debut on our show.
Oh, whenever she was grilling me on anime stuff there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But that was my one of like my first little guest appearances, and doing it with like the other people too. But yes, so rewind. All I want to do is like maybe I could even now play like a real life Disney character.
Oh, that's not far from me.
Except like they're doing all of the things so fast, and I'm like, crap, I'm not like famous yet. Like they're never gonna pick me.
You don't have to be famous. I don't think the girl that played Alice from Alice in Wonderland was famous. Neither was Cinderella.
But you recognize them as actors.
Well, I didn't at the time. Let's go to some of the chat here. We got Johnny Mario says, I know sometimes Yellow Ranger could be female, but male Yellow Ranger is cool. She could also be the Lupin Yellow. He also says, Maverick, you need to be the next Ranger for the future seasons, an adaptation of either Lupin versus Potter Ranger or Q Ranger adaptation for Power Rangers, #Hasbro. Mari says, what is your favorite Power Rangers?
Like the
seasons.
The season?
Seasons.
I said, I think because I grew up with like.
Don't say Mighty Morphin. I'm gonna walk off this right now.
But that was my year. Like that was my like time.
Okay.
That's whatever. Like it was.
Redeem
cool.
yourself on this question.
Okay.
What's your favorite Disney movie?
Favorite Disney movie? Like there's my favorite Disney movie, and then there's soundtracks.
We're gonna say
so many,
animated
like,
movie. We're gonna
things.
say it on 3 because I'm gonna say mine. You're gonna say yours.
I already know yours.
Well, let's just say it on 3. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Mulan.
Aladdin. Well, fair enough. We did do an Aladdin duet.
We did.
I don't even know where that is, and that never even aired actually.
Why didn't?
Because we got flagged for the rights.
That's right. Disney said, nope, take it out.
We did. We did a whole new world. We got flagged for the rights, and that was gone. All right, so let's continue on with your journey into the geekdom, further down the rabbit hole, which obviously we all kind of are in now. So you moved out to California.
Yeah.
Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, looking at the bright lights of Hollywood, the Hollywood sign, and you thought to yourself, holy crap, what do I do next? Mm-hmm. What do you do next, young Maverick?
You get an agent.
Was that easy?
Yes. Sadly, like once, again, it's all about it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And so I had some connections, obviously, from the pageant world who put my name out there to meet someone, and that later led to be my agent. I'm still with my print agency since I've been here now. So 4 years I've been with my agency, and still doing things on the side. I never want to give it up. It's so much fun.
Print? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, no, okay. I know. Isn't there like a Gatorade
a Propel?
thing? Yeah, Propel. There you go.
Yeah.
I think it's on your Facebook page.
Yeah, actually, my hair is like this.
It actually is. So you got into there. It is some print work. That was fun for you.
Yeah.
But you also got into commercial work.
Yeah.
And
your favorite that you always call me out on. Oh my gosh, never let it down. Wait.
Yeah.
You're not.
What?
Why? Guys! What
do you mean?
You know exactly.
I don't know.
Please,
What are
you
you
know how
talking
many
about?
times
Title Max got your money.
I have better commercials than this.
Great title, Max. So you're obviously
turn your car
telling me-
title into real money. We're talking
You knew this was coming.
I wish
even
you could see me
10,000.
red.
You were red. You can see if
Get
you're
you
red.
real
You're
money
red.
in 30 minutes or less. All it takes is a car
Okay,
title
yeah.
and ID.
My first
and you're
commercial.
a pro.
Okay.
You're real money.
Your car title
Everyone's
title.
got to start somewhere. You know what? One day I'll be like on the set of Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon sitting on their chair
100%.
and they're going to be like, we have that
Am I not
commercial."
big enough for you to sit across from and you?
I just knew one day that was going to come back to haunt me.
Wouldn't that be funny if
I
one
thought
day
the
that
days
I'm
were
the
gone.
Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon and you're like one of the guests?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Yeah.
We're not going to
especially-
tell this story.
No.
One story we will tell, however, and listen, you've done a lot of great things, obviously, career-wise. One of my favorites is Hey Carlos.
Yeah,
we
that's
have
the
a
one I
clip of
thought
that?
you
Do
were,
you have
but
a
then
clip
it
of that?
just clipped. No.
Oh, the Toyota commercial? You're
no,
lucky.
you wouldn't. I actually would be more proud if you played that one.
You also did like an AM/PM spot.
Yeah, I did AM/PM. I did an Applebee's commercial where I met one of my best friends. It was really cool.
This is an easy one. We got a question in the chat right now.
Okay.
This is an easy one. I think I
Oh,
can
my.
answer this.
Are you
Who's
gonna-
your celebrity crush? I can on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Chris Hemsworth. That was easy. That was easy.
He's so dreamy.
And she got really mad because Ro just interviewed the cast of Bad Times at the El Royale, and it was possibly gonna be her, and I was like, all right, we got to go with Ro, and she was like, what?
Well, first of all, whoa, let's step back. The person you said to me I'd be interviewing, and the movie that it was, I hadn't seen any of it. And it
I don't
was,
think he had either seen any trailers at the time
Right,
either,
right,
right?
but you didn't tell. You told me like I feel like you were like seeing how much I wanted it to see like if I would like cancel on work just to do it because you didn't say Chris Hemsworth. You threw out another actor.
Bigger Jeff Bridges fan than she is a Chris.
Yeah, you told me Jeff Bridges, and I was
Yeah, it was Jeff Bridges. That's true.
yeah. And then I watched the show later, and I see Sideshow. Chris Hemsworth is in the movie, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I was this close.
And you got really not mad, but she jokingly mad that I
I
got
was a feisty texter.
I got Chris Hemsworth to do a birthday shout out for Ciara Hanna and not Maverick. 'Cause I showed her, I was like, hey, check this out. Look what I. And she,
If it makes you feel any better, Chris Hemsworth didn't show for the presser.
Okay, thanks.
but it was funny because she was like, wait, I thought you were showing this because it was for.
Yeah, he was like, he goes, no, I know you like Chris Hemsworth, so look at this. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. And then he was like, happy birthday, someone. And I was like, oh, all right,
Sorry, next time.
that works.
Next time.
Okay.
We're gonna read the room, right, guys? Read the room. Next time we're gonna definitely get Chris Hemsworth to be like, hey, didn't you get me to do this last time?
I know.
This is the same girl.
I know, but then I'm gonna be like the
Second
sloppy
choice.
seconds. Yeah. I
Well,
don't
there's
want
other.
that.
Listen, Henry Cavill, you said he was okay, so
Yeah.
he's fine. So we got a few in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's talk about some other stuff here. Now I know that that you obviously did the first convention thing with us. That was at Anime Expo, I believe.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but Anime Expo, was that your first time going to a convention for the geek world in general? And if it was, what did you expect from it, and what did you actually see from it?
Yes. So yes to all of that. It was my first one, period. First one dressing up. First time. Like I guess you kind of always see them, like because you don't.
Time out. Wait. Layla here. She's like, Joe, that wasn't nice. I wasn't doing that to make Maverick mad. That was legit. That was legit. Like, hey, what do you think of this? Is something like
he didn't know. He
was
didn't
completely
know.
innocent.
Like, yeah, he really didn't know. But it was just funny how like I really thought
she
it
was
was
like,
about
wait,
to
I
be
thought this
me.
was for me.
It really took me by surprise. Yes, first Anime Expo, first convention, period. Obviously, you hear about Comic-Con and like you see like the extent that they go through, but I didn't realize. For me, what I took away from it was how big it is and how many people come to it.
Sure.
And then even the part that impressed me the most was the dedication that these people, these fans, like their costumes, the extent that they would go out and dress up in. I mean, bravo. Like it took me forever to like find my one wig, and I was bummed that like it was not really the real looking Mercury wig. And these people, and also props to them with no shame. Like I saw like band-aids covering nipples and like straps, and that was it. But that's anime, you know. And they rocked it. So
That's what Daniel calls the weekend. But I'm just kidding. That was a lot of fun. Now I know that you also did Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con with us. Let's talk about that, because San Diego Comic-Con is a fabled event that a lot of folks don't think that actually happened, but actually did happen. You were at San Diego Comic-Con with us.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Because now you're a San Diego girl.
yeah.
You're a San Diego girl. So how was San Diego Comic-Con for you? You interviewed Matthew Lillard from Scream
Yes.
and
so
Scooby-Doo.
yeah, that was
Mostly from
fun.
Scream.
Yeah, you threw me into that one, and so that was exciting. It was like I thought I was blown away from the Anime Expo. Comic-Con, it takes over the city. Like it pours out into the streets. There was like a zombie crawl at the time. They had an entire section dedicated to South Park. And I think the part that I liked the most was not like obviously how big it was, but those that like couldn't afford to go inside, right? Or like or maybe you weren't into like the little t-shirt or materials or toys. I loved how like they let you be engaged from the outside. There were so many opportunities for you to be a part of Comic-Con. I know I have friends that like look forward to that day just so they can dress up, and they have nothing to do with Comic-Con. They just know that it's a day that's not Halloween that they can dress up.
Which is also a great thing. Do you like dressing up?
Do I like dressing up?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
believe
as like characters or something.
I do.
Yeah, Halloween's your favorite thing?
Not that it's my favorite thing. I just like, I always like trying to think outside of the box a little bit, like doing something different that like nobody would picture for me to be. But I think that comes a lot with like, I did a lot of musical theater period.
Because you can actually sing. A lot of people don't know this. You can actually like legitimately sing.
I think like there's a difference in like being able to sing and like carry a tune. So
You can sing. Honestly, there's
carry the
3
tune.
people on our cast that I think are legit good singers. You? Who do you think I'm going to say the other 2 are? One of them's Jezzer. Believe it
Jezzer,
or
I
not.
can see that. You have a
I swear to you, he's a great singer. And the other one is actually Migdalia.
I should have said that. I was gonna say her. She's also got like a smooth voice.
Yeah, they're all great singers, along with you. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I like Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we cue up? No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny thing. Play it.
Yeah, funny thing, we got that ready. I should have like pre-interviewed you.
You
for
probably
this, right?
should have.
It's all
You're
right. We're
bad.
gonna go on the fly.
Next
Let's talk about when you moved out to Los Angeles. Did it meet your expectations as a human being?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Did it really?
Yeah, because you're kind of on a high a little bit, and I always kept. It was funny because the friends that I had made in the school, we always felt like we really didn't live here, like that we were just vacationing. Like we were always gonna the next week or the next month, or that we were always going home. Like it always felt like we weren't really here. Like we really hadn't made it. And not only like made it like obviously film make it, but like made this a home. And so we were always like, oh my gosh, every weekend we have to do something, and it was like this thrill of like trying to get everything in and experience all of California. Just because I felt like it was going to be taken away. We were going to go home.
I want to flash forward a little bit
Okay.
to Power Rangers, the audition. Now, let's give us a little backstory here about this. And
Okay.
the way that this kind of started was that you and I don't think we were shooting something next door. And I said, hey, if I can get you an audition for Power Rangers, would you do it? And you said,
Yeah, sure. Why not?
and I said, will you really do it? And you were like, yes. After that, I think I got all the information you needed, and we were off to the races.
Yeah. Well, I also asked you like if I was going to be serious about it. I needed a timeline because I needed to dust off some cobwebs and get in like shape. And
Which I was serious about it, and we were serious about it.
What the heck, dude? Why do you showing off all of my tricks?
That was good. What are you worried about?
I'm never sending you anything again.
That wasn't bad. I don't even know why he put that in there.
How do you find these things?
Just continue with your story.
I need to do like things through Snapchat so that you can't like, keep them.
Snapchat's
later.
an old thing. You can't even use that anymore. It's canceled.
People use it.
Nobody uses Snapchat.
Tell me you use it. Tell me.
Continue with your
Anyway.
story about training.
Yes. So I needed to, because I had been flying, I really took a break from like the gym and like a lot of things. So I needed to get my body back there. I'm not as young as I used to be. And so I knew I'd be going up against people that have been living,
People are
breathing.
super impressed by your kick, by the way. Let me just say.
Are they? Really?
Yes. Wow, check out that kick. There you go. Come on.
All right. Thanks, guys. That was like, actually, you know what? I sent that to Joe the day after I did the audition, and they told me I needed to do something like a physical. And I was like, oh, what? And they're like, yeah, just show us a little bit like a physical. And I was like,
You didn't send me that. That's
I know,
somewhere
that's
random.
on
I don't
social
think I've
media.
ever seen
It's
that.
okay. I was like, I could do a cartwheel. I know some things. I left the audition that day, and that was like the yellow because they wanted you to wear yellow, and went to my friends that teach kickboxing, boxing, any type of martial arts, and I was like, you need to teach me how to do a tornado kick. And that's why I'm in yellow and my hair's down and everything. That was me right after an audition because I was like in the gym, then like an hour later after the audition, trying to get to that level.
Let's talk about this for a second because a lot of people have always wanted to audition for Power Rangers, but I kind of want to break it down a little bit because it's not as easy as people think it is. You can't just walk in, say some lines, do a couple kicks, and not put everything into it. Because there is a long, and we know this better than anybody, a long process that really goes into this.
Yeah.
So let's talk about from beginning to end. Now, I was able to get you the audition. You ended up talking to Iris. Things progressed, and you knew when to come in. Chat me up about the first audition experience for Power Rangers.
Let's see. The first one was pretty. It was easy in the sense that like I feel like I had enough time to prepare, and there was no physical demonstration at this time.
Let me back you up for a
Okay.
second real quick because by the time we knew when the audition, by the time I got the information to the audition to when we knew it was a decent amount of time for you to prepare. So just to let you know, it wasn't just like, hey, you walked in. It was like, hey, the audition's tomorrow. Go walk in.
Yeah.
It was a solid like month.
Right. Well, so I actually did a self-tape, and
I
then
remember that.
And then we were told that's not good enough. You have to get in the room. So then I went to LA to do it. So that again, because the self tapes were given where you could turn them in a little bit earlier, and then the actual in-person interviews were later. So that's why it was such a long time for me to prepare. So I had my lines down, which, as everybody that
You did.
works here knows, like, lines are not my thing. Like, I feel so bad. We probably stay an extra hour after we film. So I'm kind of glad this isn't like me having to read something right now, because everybody that's live would be so upset if you're like me and you like to go to bed early.
Also, a fun thing too that I would like to talk about is that you not only auditioned, but you were championed by a lot of Power Rangers throughout the process. Brandon Mejia, Peter Sodarso, a few other Rangers throughout the process that were kind of championing you along the way. And that was probably due to #show, but also to your ability. And talk to me about kind of like the process of how they helped you.
Yeah, well, it's funny because with Brandon, I actually met him in Santa Monica doing acro yoga, and like, we're just like stunting, and I think like how I met him was there's a move called hand to hand, and so you climb up on their shoulders and you put your hands in their hand and you jump up and do a handstand, basically while they hold you with your hands. That's how I think I met him, and then I ended up seeing him later in an audition, and then that was it. And so this whole time, like, I'd been texting him because you knew him, and you knew that like he could probably help me out with some like courage and like what to expect, and so the whole time I'd been texting him, and then eventually we were gonna FaceTime and like actually meet. Still not knowing who really I was talking
Either
to.
you were in Hawaii or he was in Hawaii. One of you guys were in Hawaii, and it was like a weird like time thing.
Yeah,
I remember
well,
that.
eventually that's whenever I found out I made my callback. I was in Hawaii, and they were like, "Can you come in tomorrow?" I was like, "I'm in Hawaii."
Yeah, because they had said that they had scheduled you for like a callback, but you didn't.
Nobody,
know it,
they didn't, because like since I was self-submitted, there wasn't an agency to contact to notify me, so they just called my personal phone. I'm like, we congratulations, you made one of the first rounds. Can you come in tomorrow? Like, I'm in Hawaii.
So let's break this down. The
Yeah.
first round of auditions was just the reading, nothing
Yeah.
else, just the reading. Now that you got the callback, the second round of auditions consisted of what exactly?
So the second round was a reading and a small physical demonstration. And it's funny how each one would kind of compound upon each other. And from that audition, I had a week to prepare for the next one.
Sure.
And then that one was the same thing again, but a more elaborate and a longer physical. And I had to actually, they wanted me to work with Mike Chat, which a lot of the Power Rangers and most of the people that are on the show now have all worked with him. So it was kind of cool. We got to see each other, work with each other.
And you took that very seriously.
Yeah.
No, you did.
Yeah, that was fun. It was like a 6:30 a.m. and I'm coming up from San Diego timeline. It was fun.
Was Mike Chat cool about it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's got a great thing going there. And what my favorite part is, like, not all of those I would say kids, but there were age ranges from all over. Were doing it for Power Rangers. They're just doing it to be stunt people and to have an extra thing to put on their resume for acting. And I love how he pours into everyone, and he does a really good job with that.
Fun fact that a lot of people don't know, though, and I don't even know. Well, a lot of people didn't know, is Mike Chat's son actually auditioned as well.
He did, yeah.
So that would have been cool, because that would have been our first ever like generational type of Power Ranger passing of the torch type of deal.
Yeah, and he was great. He made it just as far as I did too. So
that'd have been crazy.
It was cool to get to know him. Yeah.
So Mike Chat's son, there's a few other people that kind of made it. Did you know the people that ended up getting cast? Yeah,
actually I did. And cool people. I was actually really happy when I saw who got cast, because I had like moments with each one of them. The Blue Ranger, we were able to, before he was going in, so he was one of the guys that I think he only had 3 rounds, whereas some of us had 6.
Let's time this out for a second right now. You're going to get some behind the scenes stuff about the cast of the new Power Rangers. So pause that for a second.
Wait, should I not say something?
No, that's good. No, you're solid. That's good. This is great. This is what you call a build-up. Is that check us out right now. Share this around right now. We're gonna get some inside stuff about some of the people that did get cast. And you're gonna be able to understand who each one of them are throughout 2019, when you can watch Power Rangers Beast Morphers, or I think when it debuts in late January. But now I think this is a super interesting thing, because we only know what we see on social media, but now we're gonna get our firsthand personal experience with the newest Rangers, and as well as the experience of just auditioning for a Ranger. Mm-hmm. So if you guys want to know more about that, keep watching. Share this video out on all social media platforms, which I know you guys already do. Join us at THS Hashtaggers and all of our other social media at thathashtagshow.com. But let's continue with the story.
And we're back in.
And we're back.
So, yes. So he was, because one of the things is, like, at that audition, I think this one was my 4th one now, and I think I did a total of 5, maybe 6. And
I think it was 6.
Yeah, and so this one was maybe my 4th or 5th one. And at this point, they were trying to give people that, they had flew in people from Japan, like from all over the world, that had great self-tapes. And they were trying to give them as much of an opportunity as some of us did that got to see these people now 6 times. They were trying to give them the best shot. I really applaud the way that the Power Rangers was cast, because I think they gave everybody an equal opportunity. And so the Blue Ranger and we were kind of in a separate room where the AC was, because the holding room was really hot. And so, yes.
Type it in.
Okay. Question from the studio audience. We'll type it in.
We'll type it in. He was being told to portray the character, because we were reading the lines, and I was stretching, and so we just read lines together.
Let me also just say, when she says it was hot was an understatement, because I went to the last audition with you.
Yeah.
I fell asleep in the car, and I almost died, I think.
Yeah.
Because and I didn't have air conditioning at the time.
Wait,
it was tough.
Talk about build up. That is a story that we need to talk about.
We'll talk about that.
Is going to audition for the villain.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, it was cool to see his dynamic of what Chip was giving him as far as lead on how to attack the scene this way. And then I saw him outside when I had to move my car, because it's 2-hour parking, and he was rehearsing it a different way. And I just remember I didn't know if he was stressed or nothing like that, but the one thing I always remember is when people change things up on you completely 180 means that they just want to see if you can take direction. Apparently he took direction really well, because they cast him. Yeah, and that was great. And then from what I know about Jackie and the Red Ranger, they actually have a great story, which I feel like it's not my place to tell their story, but they knew each other before Power Rangers from a very young age, dancing together. So
Oh, very
they have
cool.
like a really cool story. And we're waiting in the holding room. They got us pizza. It was great because we were there for a really long
I
time.
love
on our
that they
last
got
interview.
you pizza as you guys are all trying to stay in extremely good shape. They got you pizza. Is that like a
I
test, do you think? Chip
know
Lynn's kind of test?
myself and a few other people, we were like, we'll wait till we go in, thanks. And like we were like waiting, and then they would like slow down our time. We were like, oh, we're an hour behind that pizza though. It looks really good.
Hey, so Ro does have a really good question.
What
I
is
think
that?
it's a really good question. So you sound a competitive. I'll read it to you. Don't look.
Oh, okay.
How is it being supportive for people that beat you out? Because that's a great question, actually, because you are a very positive person. And are you up for the next season?
So I think I am competitive, but what most people don't understand is I'm competitive with myself. Or if somebody is a sorry winner, like talking crap, then all of a sudden there's something in me that feels like I need to put them in their place. I'm like, you're going down.
Do you ever trash talk people?
No, I think I actions speak louder than words, and so.
So you're one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna just like put them in their place by my actions, and I don't need to say anything. That's kind of my thing. And yes, if my body is like
Hey,
capable.
Maverick, you talk like you're like 49 years old.
I know,
You're-
but it's getting there, Joe.
You're going to audition for next season. That's confirmed. Can we confirm it right here, right now? I'm putting you
What
on the
if
spot.
something happens to me? As far as
Nothing's
I know,
gonna happen to you.
At this time of my life, I would love to do it again.
So that's
I
a
would love
yes.
to be a
We're going
part
to take
of
that
it.
as a yes. All right, that's a yes.
Okay.
Now you have it. So start your write-in campaign right now. Hashtag Maverick Garcia
Get it out
for
there. Yeah.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, and maybe the Pink Ranger. That would be cool. But,
If
you
you
know,
could get
I'm not
Pink Ranger, I
saying.
can
As
see
long
it.
as I could be on the show.
I kind of want to go back to the story about the people that were cast because you did talk about a personal experience with Blue. Do you have anything to say about Red and Yellow that were cast?
Yeah.
Because Jacqueline, did you see her at all in auditions?
Oh yeah, like I saw her with my chat when we were training, and then I saw her the last day when it was like the big audition, and it was kind of cool. Like because everybody goes to Mike, everyone kind of has an understanding, and you have a rapport with each other. So it was a really
Was
like
he more
a
of
good
like
time.
a fatherly figure or like a coach or something?
Yeah. He's definitely like he's great. Like he gave great direction to me because as someone that can just do martial arts, there's a difference between doing that and then doing it to camera. And he's really good. Like he knows his stuff. He knows like that you have to do a lot of stuff to camera or do things at a different angle that it's more appealing to camera, as opposed to like just what I think is good. So that was great. So he worked with me on that. But having that, like you build up a rapport, and you can kind of see like those that kind of had already hung out or like worked together. So, and actually during that the training, I met Abraham, who was cast, and him and we hit it off together because we were both new to Mike's class, and we had a private lesson together. And then later that day, because we like.
But Abraham was also the one, if I'm not mistaken, that was like, why am I here? Like I didn't audition for.
Right. So he originally was auditioning as the comedic role, and then they were trying to they didn't know in case Hasbro wanted to go younger. They were like, well, we have someone younger, and they ended up like wanting him to work with Mike so he could become he could work on some martial arts so that they could cast him potentially as a Power Ranger. And so I remember thinking and he had great kicks too. So I was like, are you sure he did karate when he was young? So he had to learn everything, and he was kind of like, I'm just here for the comedic role, but apparently he killed it and he did well. And it was because we hit it off, we ended up hanging out later and running lines, and I tell you, if it wasn't that, it's definitely his acting. He's a really talented guy.
So Abraham is probably going to do. Who else did you know in this lineup?
Colby I met obviously through Mike, Jacqueline through Mike. I don't know any of the.
And we're assuming Kobe's going to play one of the villains this season.
We're assuming yes.
Okay.
Just because there's the three Rangers, and I guess there's the gold and
silver, which I believe I've heard that they're going to be two separate characters besides the comedic relief and the villains.
I would imagine so, because they're the cool kids coming in, so they can't really reveal them now. To my how Power Rangers are done, right?
Sure.
And then again, I feel like I'm telling everybody's story for them, so it's not my
No,
place.
no, no,
So
no, no.
hopefully,
I mean, it's your own personal experience, but you know,
Yeah.
you do know a little bit about
Yeah.
about the characters at the very
right.
least.
And so another thing, the last thing I'll say was Jacqueline is hilarious. Like she was cracking me up.
She's young, right?
Yeah,
she's like
she's
right out of
younger.
high school.
Yeah, she is
19?
19. Yeah. She's hilarious, but like the best thing about her that I could say was like she was committed to everything that she did, and she just go for it.
So when you had described her, when we would talk, when I would get my daily reports on what was
Right,
going on,
right, the inside scoop.
on the inside scoop, when we would talk about it, which one was she that you described? When I would be like, was she the one that was like, there's a girl that's really good, but she's really young? Was that one?
No, so when there was another girl. The only reason why I said that was I was saying that she could be like the young, like if they were gonna go young, I would probably be the older Hasbro, and then this girl would be the young Hasbro, as far as I would say competing for me, because I knew that like my competition necessarily wasn't going to be a Jacqueline, a blonde, because it was going to come down to in your wheelhouse, right? Like
In the ethnic.
I had to be the best look of my ethnicity to have a good chance. So, but I will say I knew, when I didn't get it, I had a feeling like it had to be Jackie, just because again, I saw her work, her commitment, and she's great. She's super talented.
I want to ask you about Chip Lynn for a second.
Okay.
By the way, did you meet any of the other three that we hadn't mentioned that's up there?
No, I mean the Red Ranger told me about a story. When he was in the audition, he actually there's a punch called a Superman punch.
Yeah. It's an
and
MMA punch.
Yeah, he punched the
Camera?
and it fell down.
And
But
then,
he got it.
And then he got fired. No, I'm just kidding.
No, then he was cast. as
So
Red Ranger.
I want to ask you about Chip Lynn for a second, because
Okay.
there's a lot of rumor and innuendo about Chip Lynn, about how him being a director, producer. Talk to me about your own personal experience, because you did say that Chip kind of was able to get to you in a way, in a good way, interpret things to you. So you're like, as an actor, you got it, right? Like he was able to interpret a direction to you that made sense to you.
Yeah. So, obviously, like, probably from what everybody knows, sometimes when I talk, I can just generally speak with a smile on my face.
No, you?
So, in some of the scenes, I would unknowingly be smiling, and he would say that that I needed to choose to make a decision, an acting choice to save my smile for a scene where it would be more impactful, so that there would be instead of a line like this in acting, there's highs and there's lows, so that you can kind of ride that with the actor. And so as soon as he told me that, it was I was able to go out, fix it, come right back in, and do exactly what he asked me to do.
Now, we did get a super chat in. It says, Tom Craven, he says, I'm here. Hi, Joe. Hi, Maverick. # craving his Rangers. So Chip Lynn was able to kind of guide you in a direction that was more palpable to being a Power Ranger.
Yeah.
And would you say so much with what you know about Power Rangers Beast Morphers? Are you excited about the season coming up?
Yeah, you know what? As much as what I do know, a lot of people have been coming to me and they're like, "What's this? There's only 3 Rangers." A lot of people have been kind of upset about that. But I think these are the people that are like me, probably more mainstream, and haven't been following it as closely. And so I don't think that they understand that it's just following the Japanese version. And so that's what the season called for, is just the 3 for the season. And as well as a lot of my friends, obviously I'm telling them about it, so they don't know it since 10 years ago plus, and they're like, what? There's no Pink Ranger, and they're like, what? There's only 3, and they're like, wait, they change the questions I was getting. I was kind of embarrassed. So these are my friends now.
I have a question for you. So, because I remember you talking about this, you did watch Go Buster, or some of it.
Go Buster?
Yeah, the Japanese version.
Yeah, I did, as I wanted to see what they would be looking for in the Yellow Ranger, what her
I
character
remember
would
you
be.
told me her thing was a rabbit, and I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
So
I
didn't
was
see
because
it.
I wanted to I was okay, I'm whatever, I'm gonna try to channel the Yellow Ranger and what her beast morpher is gonna be, and I was like, what the heck? It's a rabbit, Joe. I was like, what am I gonna walk in there and try to
So how much of it did you actually watch?
I watched the opening credits because I wanted to see how she morphed into.
Okay, well, fun fact. Maverick, how did she morph?
She does this thing where she's like, She has a lot of fingers.
I love it. All right, that's a lot of fun. Now
Should we talk about so what happens afterwards? Because everyone obviously knows I didn't get it, right?
we can. Let's talk about your villain audition process. Though.
That's what I'm talking about,
yeah.
Joe.
Let's talk about that. Let's do it.
You're done. I'm hijacking this interview now.
I know. I was getting there. So I was in Paris, and I think when I went there though, you and I the week before I left, we had known that the answers for whoever's going to get cast was going to come in that time frame.
Yeah.
Because it was a 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think so I was like, okay, 2 weeks I'll be here and 3 weeks I won't. And then it was that third week and we were like, because the second week she was like, hey, should I text so and so about if I got this or not? And I said, no, let's wait a week. So I remember I missed my flight. I'm waiting in my hotel room. You and I got to talking and I was like, hey, did you get it? And she was like, I haven't heard yet. And I was like, now we should kind of find out to see if this happens.
And it was that next day I was in Cabo on a trip and stranded. So this was bad time. For me, it was our plane had had a mechanical issue. So we were grounded and we were in Cabo. And it was just there was a lot of things happening. And I was I had lost another big gig with modeling that was a really well-paying job that I didn't see coming, and so it was a bummer that I had missed out on that. But then at the same time, we were well, now we don't have to worry about that being a conflict with Power Rangers.
Yeah, it was a big conflict going into it.
Yeah, it was crap. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, but both of these are really good jobs.
I had a parade route for Morphicon. I had Myverick Garcia t-shirts.
I get the email finally, and they're we regret to inform you, it's a puzzle piece kind of thing, of casting. You made it to the top 20. You should be really proud. But we also really liked your acting, and we would very much be interested in you if you wanted to come in and audition for one of the villains. And so that's when I messaged you, and I was like, oh, man, is it worth it? I really just want to be on the show and go to New Zealand. I think that's really cool. And all I'm thinking in my head is how, my brother is, laughing at me right now because this is what he's made me do my entire childhood was either be the Yellow Ranger or the villain. So I was like, whatever, I'm going to be on the show. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go for it. I was having car troubles and I decided to fly up, but I needed someone to take me from the airport to the audition. Joe comes to the rescue, but Joe's car was without AC. Didn't mention that to me.
I didn't know either at the point though. You also have to realize that when you got back, it was from after Comic-Con.
It was Comic-Con.
So it was when you got back it was right around the time I was supposed to get back. Mm-hmm. And I remember her even telling me, it was hey, if you would have just told me you were in San Diego, I'd have just drove back up with you. And I said, but I didn't drive.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was a whole ordeal.
Oh, it wasn't my car was messed up. I had my purse stolen, so I didn't have a driver's license. So I was afraid of driving. So again, Joe the rescue. No AC. So I probably shouldn't have ran after his car.
Mind you, I'm an idiot because I also do have a convertible. Let me just say that.
We didn't know that until we came back.
What do you mean we didn't know that? I knew that the whole time.
No. As in, it didn't dawn on us until you were letting me out of the car to get to the airport to go back home. And it was we're about to say goodbye. And then all of a sudden you're oh, I guess I could have just put the convertible down.
But in fairness to myself, though, at the time,
I had butt sweat.
At the time, yeah, you did. At the time, I also was renting a lot of cars, so I just didn't even think about it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, we talked the whole time because I was just so concentrated on not sweating too. Because I was wearing a gray shirt. I was why did I wear a gray shirt?
And then I remember because we got to the airport. I got to the airport and I couldn't find you for the longest time. And then she was like, where are you? And I was like, all right, well, I'm pulling into here. She's like, I'll meet you there. And then we were in mid-sentence. She was like, oh, puts down the phone, but the phone's still on. And all you hear is somebody panting I was like, hello, Maverick? And then in my rearview mirror, I just see her running. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is her. I held up traffic. She got in the car. And then we were on our way to
so again, it was a bad idea to I had a backpack, pants on, and I'm running after his car because I don't want him to have to do the whole loop, and then we're gonna be late because we were already.
And we were late, by the way.
We were late,
an hour. Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
And she was like, we got to the audition place. She's like, well, you probably, if you park here, you could get towed away, but it was like, you'd be fine. I was like, I'm just going to park down the street. And she's like, are you sure you can just come into the audition? I'm sure there's air conditioning. I was like, no, I'm cool. And it was so hot. And at that time, I just fell asleep in the car.
Because it was heat.
Because it was super
Temperature,
hot.
yeah.
Yeah. And I had I had the windows rolled down and I fell asleep. And then,
Wait, I'm interrupting you now. There's a question. Do you think with how well you did this time around, do you think you'll try to try for the next
iteration of Power Rangers?
Oh, yes. Yes. Continue.
So yeah, anyway, I went to go get something to eat. I got her something to eat, and I just stayed
Well,
there
it was really good, too.
until you got out, and I was like, I'm just going to
Impressed.
wait here.
Yeah.
But talk to me about the villain audition.
Yeah, so the villain audition was a role. It was going to be a 2-part role of male and a female, and so I was auditioning for the female part. And it wasn't a lot of people, like a very small number of people that they had selected for that particular role. And I went in, and it was just myself and Adam, one person, and it was that one video too. They were going to cast from that video, so that was the one and done type deal. And it was great. It was a little stressful just because I got the scenes the day before.
Yeah, I remember that.
And again, I was coming from Cabo, so I had to figure out a way to get there, get enough sleep.
You were super stressed out.
Yeah.
Too. I remember just talking to you about it.
I just don't like to give a bad performance and have them regret even asking me to come back as a villain. But it worked out, and they decided to go a different way with it. I have a great connection now with that casting agency. I think they're amazing, and I would do anything that if they ever ask me to do.
Toku asks a good question, and I think you should chime in on about this. Is any advice for someone wanting to start acting or auditioning for Power Rangers specifically?
Any advice for someone that would want to do it?
Specifically for Power Rangers.
One of the key things that they told us about for this audition was they really were looking for someone that was strong in martial arts.
Right.
So although you do have stunt people, you don't have to worry about that. I think if there's anything that you can do, it's finesse what you have. Let's say you decide last minute, I'm going in there, I'm going to do the audition. Don't try to throw a triple kick and backflip if you've only done it a few times. Work on what kicks you have at the time, make them look good. Do your research, go back over and look at YouTube or whatever you have to do to watch what they did. What was it that made these Power Rangers who they were? And even then, if you're following the seasons, and I knew what the next round was going to be for Beast Morphers. I looked back at the Japanese version just to see, so I could I don't know if I channeled my inner bunny, but whatever I could do to try to help me have an extra edge.
Did you just say channel your inner bunny?
Yeah, for Beast Morphers.
Okay. That's a new t-shirt.
That's what I would say, though.
Get your Myverick Garcia t-shirt, channel your inner bunny. So Beast Morphers obviously it was Hasbro's first season.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into the business side of it, but I do want to talk about what should be coming up, and what I mean by that is that you have just said that you're open to auditioning for the next season of Power Rangers, regardless of what that may be.
Yeah.
So that means that, and I remember us talking about this at the time, was going to New Zealand was for a very long amount of time.
Oh my gosh.
It's not a short amount of time.
No, it's a minimum of 8 months.
Would you go as far to say that you have to make sure that you absolutely have to have that commitment to go, because that's not a short amount of time?
First of all, it's New Zealand. I think
That's what I
everybody
said.
would love to go to New Zealand.
But 10 months is a long time, Maverick.
It is. The scare I had, honestly, was because I still really love my job as a flight attendant. And if I walked away from that job, I didn't know that it would still be there when I came back. Granted, okay, so now let's fast forward. If it depends, a flight attendant job is based off of seniority, and so my schedule wasn't awesome at the time, so I was really afraid of people taking things from me to work. So now fast forward, if I audition, let's say in the perfect world, I was able to actually be a Power Ranger. I now have some more seniority, right? Like, so there's people that I'll actually have a great schedule. It can be worked out. Actually, I have no idea how this is. Like, you guys are probably falling asleep.
No,
at home,
actually,
but-
people like this conversation.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So the point would be that like I would be able to take care of work and just be able to give it away, and still be able to be a
Oh, look
Power
at that.
Ranger and have the benefits of being a flight attendant. And yay, there's some of my classmates. That was me passing my test to be a flight attendant.
I do have a question for you.
What?
Joining hashtag show, did you ever imagine that would get you into an audition for Power Rangers out of all things?
I don't know about Power Rangers, but there was something in me that was kind of hoping that like this would open a door. Like, Olivia Munn.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, like
Attack
she
of the
was
Show.
on G4, right?
Attack of the Show, yeah.
Yeah. And so like, and then she ended up being on X-Men, and like, she has a great, she's.
Who's your favorite X-Men?
I do like Rogue, but I would say like I like Jean Grey, and like her power's better.
Okay.
Why?
Sure.
Okay.
I think you would be Rogue. I think you would be Rogue mainly because
Because of the Southern thing.
people don't know this. So I used to do a Westworld show with you and Daniel.
Bullets and milk.
No bullshit. Is that when Maverick would get going, the Southern accent would legit come out.
It does.
To the point where me and Daniel started making fun of you. We were like, "She's naked, Mom." You remember that?
Oh, that was me like really putting it on though. I was trying to be like Southern.
She's I mean, you have a pretty.
That was you. You were leaning over looking at my notes and you said that.
She's naked. That's true. I forgot about that. I mean, you legit have a Southern accent.
When I'm excited, it can come out. When I'm tired, if I'm speaking to my family, it can come out.
Give me an example of like a Southern saying that would be normal for you.
A Southern saying?
Yeah.
Like a metaphor? Oh crap.
Well, like a saying.
Yeah. It's raining cats and dogs. Is that a
That's
thing?
a normal saying.
Oh, it is?
Maverick. I think
Okay.
it's a
I
normal
don't
saying.
know. I do know that sometimes people tell me it's not how I say things, but it's what I say. So a lot of times I'll say, well, I wouldn't want to do that. And everybody's like, wouldn't? What is that? What is wouldn't? Or like, oh, I'm going to run to the store, and instead of saying run to the store, I would say I'm fixing to go to the store.
Fixin'.
And everybody's like, what is fixing? Or if we're
What
at...
does fixin' mean?
You're fixing to do something.
What does fixing mean? Like fixing a car?
No, it's just a term.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So sometimes it's not how I say things, but what I say.
I'm fixing to continue this interview.
You do it.
Here's what we're going to talk about now, real quick, is that, so obviously now that we have the Power Ranger auditions, we've done this, you come from a very strong military background.
Yeah.
Chat me up about this because it's kind of very important to who you are. And I think for people to get a kind of sense of who you are is to understand how you were raised. Mm-hmm. Because, and I will be honest with you, you're pretty forward in your beliefs. Like, you believe what you believe, and that's the way it is. But you're also, I don't think I ever hear you cuss. I don't think maybe I heard it a handful of times.
You heard it one time whenever I had to read the prompter, and that's what the director wrote, and I couldn't change what he said, so I had to say it.
Oh, that's
and then
true.
you called me out on it.
I was like, did Maverick just say?
Yeah.
But you're very classically kind of like Southern.
I really thought you were
hospitality
gonna
type.
say. I believe that you were really dynamic, but you didn't use
Well,
that word
dynamic
at
would
all.
be the wrong word, I
Okay.
would say. But dynamic's a good word. You're very Southern. What I mean by that is, in the best of terms.
Yeah.
You're very to your beliefs. You're very the Southern hospitality
Okay.
aspect of what the South is.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your kind of upbringing and about how the military kind of played a part in your life at a young age, because
Yeah.
you do have a lot of discipline. That's one thing I do know about you.
Well, so my mom actually was in the Army.
Your mom was in the Army? I
Yeah, my
did
mom.
not
Like
know that.
everybody in my family has played some type of role in military, but Army has been a big one. And growing up, she ended up falling out of that, not doing that, and pursuing nursing instead. And my stepdad, like everybody, and obviously my brother has been in the military since he was 17, done multiple tours, but oddly enough, like my brother and I have been in the Army since we were 7.
Did
plus.
you ever serve?
No.
Oh, I didn't.
No,
think
no,
so.
no. But I'm saying, like, since I was like a 5-year-old, up we've been in the Army, because what we would when we were homeschooled, my mom had her old BDUs, and so we would dress up, and we didn't play like we the imagination. It was like legit boot camp. My
Really?
brother would like crack the whip. We would have PT tests. We would like do the whole
really?
yeah, and like we would do special ops at night. Like my mom was like, just come. She's like, just come home before the lights come on, and we did all of that. So I mean, that's all my brother ever wanted to do and be, was in the military. So it was a big role in our lives. I actually did want to serve. I thought it'd be really cool. But because my family, everybody was military, they were all kind of like, no, not you. Like, you're going to be the one that does it this way. We're not having that. And so it wasn't really necessarily my choice by any means, but it's been more of, my stepdad ended up serving in the Army. They got out and they came back and did the National Guard. And so we moved closer to Camp Shelby, which is a military base that's in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And I grew up, I had like my 18th birthday on
My
base.
dad's also from Mississippi. I don't know if you knew that.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I swear to God he is. He's from,
How am I just not finding that out,
he's
Joe?
from Brookhaven, Mississippi. I swear
What?
on my life. Yeah,
That's where I went to high school, in Brookhaven.
that's where my dad's from.
Joe.
We'll talk about this later, but
Yeah, you can't, like, what? We're like related almost.
I know. Let's continue on.
So anyway, yes. So I've always loved the military and loved what they stood for, mainly because of my brother. I've seen, though, where the military is heavy and hard on you. I think that kind of comes where a lot of times people go to war and they come back and they have a lot of inner demons that they're battling with themselves. So for me, a lot of the negative things that I saw that happened because of the military, like swearing or like the lifestyle, it's a really tough life on our soldiers and our military that I kind of just wanted to stand for something different. And that's why I've chosen not to swear. When I swear, it's to make a point, but I just don't like the way it makes me feel inside. Like I feel really like dark and angry if I do swear, and that's because that's the way that it was used a lot around me, and so I don't like to try to like let that control my life. So instead, I just made a choice to be different, and that's where it came from.
You did talk about your brother, and unfortunately, your brother did pass away prematurely last year. He was a military man. I kind of want to talk about this mainly for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to talk about his service to the United States, mainly because a lot of people don't know this, and I think it's important that they do, mainly to get a perspective on the military. And secondly, how much your brother actually meant to you.
So when I talk about like growing up and not having a ton of money, my brother always found a way of taking care of me and sheltering me. I think that the reality of my life and growing up as a kid, I wasn't so aware of it until I was older, and then like obviously was around people that didn't have the same lifestyle as me, and I was like, oh, that wasn't normal. But I think a lot of what made it normal was my brother really stepping in and taking care of me, and he also was never one to tell me I couldn't do something, or he also, like, a lot of my...
Was he also the one that made you be the Yellow Ranger?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, well, yeah, so he told me I couldn't be the Pink Ranger.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
A lot of the pet peeves I have are because of him. I hate to be held down, and that's because my brother would always... if I was going to hang with the boys, I needed to know how it was going to be. He was never going to take it easy on me, but he also never told me, like, I couldn't do it because of this. And so he was just like, I'm tagging along. He never told me no, but he expected me to keep up. And so he's always been there for me. He has the best laugh. Like, everybody knows him by his laugh. And I think my brother has just... It was always his dream to be in the military. Like, I remember when 9/11 happened, and when everybody was afraid and like worried, like what's going to happen, him at a young age, I remember vividly in our house saying, we need to get ready. We're going to go to war. And he was like, probably, I guess, how old are we at that age? And I feel like
2001. How old were you in 2001?
I was 11, so he was 12. And so, yeah, at 12 years old, he was preparing for that moment that he knew that he was going to go have to fight. And I just was, hello? They got it. Okay. Oh. So I just know that I've always respected him for that choice, and that, like, he's always just never been afraid, just bold, attack it. He had 2 kids and a family, and he was living in Texas at the time. And I think something that a lot of people don't understand is the military is a choice. Like, a lot of people do it, and there's always that expression, freedom isn't free, and it's very true. Like, it's because these men and women serve our military and they do it, and experiencing it firsthand, the sacrifice for us as family that we have to deal with and live with. But I think where a lot of people might get it wrong whenever they think about people like serving overseas and like, why can't they just be home? From my perspective, and from what my brother always said to me, was like, it's not here in our home. We fight out there to keep it out there. It's different because it's not here on our homeland. And
Sure.
so that's like the biggest thing he would always tell me. It was like, we do it so that we can live a life of shooting #show and like just having fun and like living out our silly dreams of loving of like nerds and Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z. Like, we have that opportunity to express that. And he's always been amazing at that. And he's always been a trickster. He is the worst at like always trying to pull jokes over on people. But he's always been the youngest too out of everything that he's done. And when we had the service for my brother, like men that had some serious rankings in the military, grown men were just tearing up and crying because they would tell me stories about how whenever we would be out in the field and we'd say, who's out there, like who's controlling the troops, and like, oh, Garcia's on it, and everybody, the resounding response I would always, like, they would tell me was everybody always knew it was going to be taken care of. And I think that just starts from, again, him preparing since he was 12 years old.
Starts at a young age. You did get a super chat, which was Mikey Perez, who was your prom date, which you stood up mainly because.
Shut up!
I
Don't
was just
tell me
kidding. I was
that.
just kidding. You didn't.
Okay, he knows that. Like that's my
It was
granny.
your grandma.
Okay.
It was when
okay.
I like how you call her granny, by the way, but
Well,
it was
that's
your
the
grandmother.
southern.
Yes.
There is a southern thing. My granny passed away. I'm so sorry.
He says he works with the military. So
Aw,
that's the thing.
cool.
You know who else works with the military? I'm sure you don't know that. It's Jezzer.
Jezzer.
He works for the Army. Navy. Sorry. Same difference. Not completely different.
Oh,
completely
well,
different.
my boyfriend's in the Navy.
My
so.
dad was a Marine, so we all
Branch
have
of the
something
Navy.
different.
We're good.
Different things.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, thank you for asking me and for letting me share that. Kind of on this platform, I hope people understand that I think everybody shares different beliefs, but I really applaud and appreciate the fact like the #show is everybody. Like everybody. We're a collection of different people, but our one common thing is we're a bunch of nerds. So we love it.
No, that's completely true. I agree with you 100%. I think that with all of us, we are all so different, and it's crazy because if you'd ever see all of us out at a dinner together, it'd be like, why are all these people?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the weirdest group of people. But it works, and I think that the one thing that you at home should be proud of, and never kind of back down from, which Maverick has kind of stated all throughout this interview, is be who you are and stay true to who you are. She talked about the pageant world, about how that shouldn't really, that should boost your confidence. It doesn't matter who you are. Just kind of do that, and continuing on, be proud of who you are and what you believe in.
Yeah.
And we live in a time now where people are going to believe in a lot of different things, but do your research and just believe in what you believe in and stay true to that. I do have a fun little game for you.
Yeah, let's bring it back to fun.
Now,
oh wait, games. Oh crap.
you like games.
I love
From
games.
what
Yeah.
I've been told
Bring
these
it
seconds.
on.
So we have a cast of 13 #show members, right?
Okay. Oh gosh.
You've not met all 13.
No.
I know for a fact you haven't met all 13. Matter of fact, if anybody on our show hasn't met all 13, I know it's you.
Yeah. well, I've been
But
sick.
those are the 13 people that stand before you. We're gonna play a fun game.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Ready? This is word or sentence association.
Okay,
And
I
we're
like
gonna start.
sentence.
Okay, you can do a sentence. We're gonna start with the person that brought you into this world, Jessica. Mm-hmm. Go.
Hilarious. Quick-witted.
She is hilarious and quick-witted. How did
Yeah.
you meet her? I found this very interesting, by the way. She looked at me like, fuck you.
We dated the same guy.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Let's go to Sarah, who you've never met, I don't think.
No, I've met Sarah.
Oh, have you?
I met Sarah especially during Comic-Con. She was helping me like walk around. From what I know with Sarah is that like she can be really quick. She's really quick with her words as far as like confident in what she says. But I've always felt her be very compassionate. So I would say like she has a big heart.
Big heart.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly,
I think she is freaking awesome. She's so cool and quirky because she's like her sense of fashion and what she goes for. She just pulls it off. She has a great look. So I'd say she's a unique beauty.
What about Cookie Face himself, Jezzer?
Cookie face Jester. Is it funny that I want to think like Mongolian? I don't know why. Like,
We'll use that. Mongolian.
like Indiana Jones type thing.
So what you're saying is Jezzer reminds you of Short Round from Indiana Jones. Dr. Jones. You're saying that's what Jezzer reminds you of.
Next person.
I like it. We got the audience great. I gotta be. Justin, who you haven't met.
I haven't met Justin.
So you don't really know much about Justin.
I'm gonna say, if he's a part of the show, he's a hard worker.
Okay.
Hard worker.
Is that Daniel?
That's Daniel.
Okay,
Look
Daniel.
At that. He's a PIMP.
So
he's a pimp.
Pimp. All right. You don't know Corey.
I don't know Corey.
So you don't really know what to say. Johnny, you just recently met.
I did just recently meet Johnny. Johnny's got like some swag. He's pretty cool. Like whenever like I met him, he just kind of like came up to me, shook my hand. Like even though like he knew that I didn't know him, he acted like I'd known him for like a while. Just made me feel really comfortable.
What about me?
That's where we got one word for you, Joe. I don't know if we have time. What's our cutoff here? We have lots to say about Joe. Joe, I have to say you are very inspirational. You are so impressive, and you actually are one of those people that I know you say like you can get nervous or anything like that, but you always take things to the next level, and that's why I think the hashtag show is what it is. You had a vision.
It's a group effort.
Right, but it was a vision, and you let people that had the same vision bring them on and bring them in, and you just have always worked hard for these people, and I've appreciated it.
Well, we've all worked hard for each other. That's a fact. Migdalia,
she's fun. Like whenever we did a little bit of Riverdale together.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. I always thought like she had a great insight. She had a different perspective, and so I was always interested to see what she said between the three of us, just because I thought she had a different insight.
Before we get to our last one, we did get a super chat, and this is more directed towards Jezzer than it is you. It says, super chat from Tom Craven, Short Round Reyes. Here's what's going on right now, hashtag Short Round Reyes. Now, Ro, who you just recently kind of met, but
did.
both of you been here for a long time, which is surprising.
Yeah, it's crazy, Ro. All right, Ro, let's think, Ro.
He's the obnoxious, controversial drunk.
I would say like he's grungy. He's got that grunginess to him.
Fair enough. You should watch this episode of 90210. Now, before we wrap up, this is the wrap-up questions. You can't look at these. Ready?
Oh, okay.
I'm going to ask you some wrap-up questions here.
Okay.
Ready for these? What's your favorite word?
Captivating.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I read a book called Captivating once, and I think that's it stood for
My autobiography. That's the one you read. It's captivating. Yeah. I got
yeah.
it. What did it stand for?
It was actually describing women and what a captivating woman is and what that really stands for. So I've always liked that, and I like the word courageous too.
Okay. What's your least favorite word?
The F word or GD, like
okay, fair
bad
enough.
words.
I know what that means. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I really, when I see a performance of some kind, like either someone singing or dancing, and like if I'm in the chair and like I feel like I'm like kind of moving my body with it, or I'm getting chill bumps from them singing, like that moves me. Like when I get done with a movie and I go out of that theater thinking like I'm gonna be the next,
like the greatest showman.
Yes, the greatest showman. Exactly what I was thinking in my head. Like I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna go out there and perform and do it, or join the circus.
Yeah.
Like,
so let me tell you a little bit about P.T. Barnum. He was not the best of dudes in real life.
Oh well, Hugh Jackman.
All right.
I
as long as we know that. What's your turnoff?
My turn off. And I know a lot of people will say this, that nobody likes people that are disrespectful, but I really cannot stand disrespectfulness. I don't know if that comes from being from the military, but I'm the first person to like nip that when I feel like someone is being disrespectful. Even like today in the Uber, this woman was super ugly towards the driver.
Whoa.
And it was
I was like, that conversation was going to go in a different place when the first sentence came out. That person was really ugly, is all I heard in the beginning. I know I got it. Let's continue
She
on.
was just so rude and disrespectful. And like, and that's the time, like when I talk about like that little like inner thing that comes out of me, it's like I have to like kind of keep it down because it's the first thing to set me off is like when people are disrespectful. I just don't think there's any cause for it.
Okay. What is your favorite curse word?
Dang it.
That's actually true, believe it or not.
Dang it.
Believe it or not, folks, that is actually true.
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
Can I do it?
Yeah. Can you do it? I don't know. It's a question for you.
What
What the hell is that? The hell is that?
It's like one of my hidden talents in the pageant world.
What is it supposed to be?
I don't know. I just discovered it when I was a little girl. I was like,
Whoa! Whoa! What is going on right now? I had no idea you could do this. This is kind of impressive. What sound or noise do you hate?
what noise do I hate?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate whenever like the chalkboard and it goes and or like on a plate there's like forks
the
and knives.
forks, yeah, I
Have you
agree
ever
with
seen
you
the
on that,
movie
yeah.
Ace Ventura and he goes, "We have waves in making you talk." And he goes,
Yeah.
like that noise.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's
I hate
plates and silverware hitting.
Yes.
Oh, it's the worst for me.
Ugh.
Not the clinking. It's the like,
No, it's the sliding
Ugh.
across the plate. Yes.
especially like metal plates.
Yes.
Like, you know. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Skateboarding. I think that's so cool. I kind of skateboarded when I was younger,
Since
and then
when
I
did
had
skateboarding become a profession? Just kidding for all the skateboarders out there. Just kidding. Just
yeah.
kidding.
I used to. Fun fact: I like used to skateboard, and I started getting like really good when I was younger. I had a pretty gnarly wipeout, blacked out from it. Had to go to the
You hit your head?
hospital. Yeah, and like knocked out my tooth. I was like 10 years old. And my dad always has treated me like girls should be like paper dolls, like very, very dainty, and he took my skateboard away and that was it.
What profession would you like to not do?
What profession would I like to not do? Crap. I think I would not be somebody that deals with boogers and like throw up. So like that's kind of my thing. I can't stand like snot and like
So we're gonna say a pediatrician.
yeah.
You would
Well,
not
but
like to be a
I
pediatrician.
can deal with blood like really.
I would not
but
like
I
to deal
can't-
with boogers
and throw up.
and throw up.
It's not. I'm
You-
not good.
You 100% don't want to be a
I
pediatrician.
can't do
Fair
it.
enough.
Can't do it.
That might be the best answer so far that I've gotten on this yet. Well, yeah. Are you ready for
Not all
the?
you guys are enjoying this.
So, if heaven does exist, what would
Okay.
you like to hear God say at the pearly gates when you arrive?
Well done, thy good and faithful servant.
Very good. Very good. Well, that is Myverick Garcia. You can find Maverick at your social media, which is. You can just say it, Maverick. I mean, it's right there.
I wanted to box it, but it's like not in a good spot. Myverick Garcia on Instagram, and you can find me also on Maverick on Facebook.
Are you on Twitter?
I don't know. I did Twitter when I was more like in the pageant, so I know there's an account out there, but I'm not like good at it. So you can follow me, but nothing's happening. I'll give it to you. You can ramp it up.
What am I gonna do with it? Anyway,
Good at that stuff.
you can follow Maverick at her social media. You can also check her out here at that hashtag show. Maverick, it's been a wonderful time talking to you, getting to know
Yeah.
you. There's a lot of fun facts I didn't know, like that weird thing you do with your voice.
I can also hand whistle. Show you do it.
Yeah, go for it. You're blowing into a hand. You're not necessarily whistling.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. I want to get you a dickory-do. You know those things that like.
Like Australia.
Yeah. I think that you'd be great at that.
Okay.
So Maverick, we've learned a lot about you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Any final words that you want to say to the youth out there that may want to forget about the pageant world? That just may want a boost of self-confidence, of like, just talk to the youth out there about anything.
So a lot of it, I was gonna say, you said that like I've always attacked things, but some of it has always just been something that I hate is being afraid of something. I think fear is one of those things that drives me to do something. Like when I used to do a lot of rock climbing, and the fear of falling would almost send me into like an anger, like a Hulk kind of beast mode, and then like I would able to climb the rock. So for me, I would just say, why not? Like when you're gonna audition for something, or you want to try for something. If there's anything that I've ever learned, especially coming from a small town, is that it's better to know that you tried for something than to live with the regret of like never knowing. Because the thing is like you can always audition and they could tell you no, but at least now you know. Because then you have that kind of integrity. Yeah, that integrity, that peace of mind. You still did it. They say no. There's so many no's out there. You're nobody that's like the only person that's been told no to. There's several people out there. So the good thing is you're not alone. So I just always say, like, if there's something that you're wanting to try, just say why not. Like, what's the worst that can happen? No. Well, everybody's told no.
Everybody's told no. Follow Maverick on social media at Myverick Garcia. I am Joe with that #show. Thank you guys so much for joining us and exploring Maverick's journey through life, I guess, really, at this point.
Yeah, we've been here for a while.
Yeah. So if you want to see Maverick on more things, hit us up at that #show. Let us know you want to see her, because we'd love to bring her on more. It's really just about getting her schedule down.
Right.
She knows that.
Sorry,
but guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button to stay up to date with everything trending
In geek pop culture.
I did not think you were going to pick up on that, but I'm glad you did.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay.